Obviously, it's a big talking point at the minute in wrestling. Who'd win in a fight, Tucker or Rey Mysterio? I see a lot of people going with Rey Mysterio, and don't get me wrong, there are some valid arguments there, but for the most part, I think it's just a historical bias and people siding with their favourite wrestler because they want it to be true. But the reality is that Tucker would destroy Rey Mysterio in a fight, and here are my reasons as to why I believe that. He's bigger. Tucker is 6'2" and 320 pounds. That's very big and very jacked. Rey Mysterio is 5'6" and 175 pounds. That's not big or jacked, and anyone who has a degree in physics could tell you that this means Tucker can quite easily pick Rey Mysterio up and throw him very far away. This will hurt Rey Mysterio and make it very difficult for him to win the match. He has a better finisher. Rey Mysterio's finisher is the 619, a tribute to Saint Disibod, an Irish monk who was born in 619 AD. It's an okay finisher, but it has this mad elaborate setup that requires his opponent to rest conveniently on the middle rope, whereas Tucker's finisher is the Project Mayhem, which obviously is iconic and can be hit out of nowhere. So I'd expect him to get the win with that. He can use his hair to his advantage. Obviously, Tucker has very long, luscious, beautiful dark hair. This is evident every time we see him wrestle. Rey Mysterio is probably bald, and he might have dreadlocks, but even if he does, it's under a mask, so it makes no difference, really. Anyway, Tucker can choke out Rey Mysterio with his hair if he needs to, which adds another weapon to his arsenal. Tucker's a lot younger. Tucker is only 30 years of age, a fountain of youth, full of energy, soon approaching his prime years in terms of athleticism. Rey Mysterio is 46, so he's just old and wrinkly. What I've learned from physically attacking my granddad after he called me a hippie was that old people are quite easy to push over. In fact, older people aren't only easy to push over, they also take ages to get back to their feet. So if we make this a last man standing match in particular, I really don't see how Rey Mysterio stands a chance. Tucker doesn't have to wear a mask. When Tucker wrestles, he tends to wear gear that's basically just regular clothes that we all wear on a daily basis. This means that he won't have any trouble when he's getting ready for his match. Rey Mysterio, because he's a luchador, wears all this fancy shit when he wrestles, so he could end up accidentally putting his mask on backwards, and in that case, that sort of distraction could end up to, leading to Tucker winning. Rey Mysterio will underestimate him. If you go into Cage Match right now, you'll see that Tucker has a 6.28 rating, and Rey Mysterio has an 8.24 rating. This is because Buddy Murphy set up loads of different accounts that have Rey Mysterio as a 10 rating, just to lick his arse. It doesn't necessarily mean that Rey Mysterio is a better wrestler than Tucker. What it does mean, however, is that Rey might see that 6.28 rating and completely underestimate Tucker. Then he'll be taken by surprise as Tucker hits him with the Project Mayhem and pins him for the win. Tucker doesn't have a son. Having a son is cool because it means you have someone that can carry your bags and stuff, but it's also a huge responsibility. In Rey Mysterio's case, he never actually hires a babysitter. Instead, he brings his son down to the ring so he can look after him while he wrestles. This isn't always a problem, as Dominic Mysterio is quite a good kid for the most part, but if he starts crying for no reason, the way many kids that age do, then it'll distract Rey Mysterio and Tucker will take full advantage for the win. Tucker has mad respect backstage. In the same way that Roman Reigns is the head of the table on SmackDown, Tucker is basically the head of the table on Raw. The locker room leader, as some would say. This means that if he puts a hit out on Rey Mysterio, the entire locker room will come out and back him up. Whereas if Rey Mysterio put a hit out on Tucker, everyone would just point and laugh at him before giving Tucker a fist bump. This means that Tucker has basically free interference to use in any of their matches if he wants it. Tucker is all American. For those that aren't aware, Tucker's been wrestling ever since he was in college. He wrestled for a promotion called NCAA, where he won some of their titles. They then called him an All-American. I don't know what this means or what the difference is between that and a regular American, but it's still more wrestling experience than Rey Mysterio has. Tucker has fought on the streets. Tucker comes from the mean streets of Clackamas in Oregon. And you know how that sort of stuff is, littering, tax evasion, like he's seen it all. And everything that he's learned from fighting on the mean streets of Clackamas, he can apply that to fighting in the ring. And more often than not, it helps him get the win. Whereas Rey Mysterio grew up in Chula Vista, mad posh, probably learned nothing from it, to be honest. Tucker learned from the best. Tucker actually gets his name from Tucker, an Irish wrestler who's too good for WWE. This man taught WWE's Tucker everything he knows and trained him up to be the man that he is today. The original Tucker wouldn't pass on the lineage of his name and the history of that name until WWE Tucker earned the rights to it. However, after a banging match with Tino Sabatelli, where Tucker applied all the knowledge that he gained from the original Tucker to the task at hand, OG Tucker decided to award him with his name. Rey Mysterio just got his name from his uncle. Basic nepotism, really. My friend Aaron said he'd win. My friend Aaron from the world famous It's Dunner's YouTube channel normally just talks about football, But he's also a big wrestling fan, and one time I was watching his videos and I noticed he said this.
Tucker would beat the absolute fuck out of Rey Mysterio.
Aaron is someone whose judgment I would trust on these topics. He's like one of those UFC analysts, so if Aaron thinks Tucker would beat Rey Mysterio, then he probably would. Rey Mysterio's a tag team specialist. Dominic Mysterio, Kevin Owens, Aleister Black, Humberto Carrillo, all people who have had a successful tag team with Rey Mysterio at some point in their careers. Now, don't get me wrong, being a tag team specialist is it's a very cool characteristic for a wrestler to have. It's just that in singles competition, I would personally back the wrestler who has spent more time carving out a successful singles career, which in this case is Tucker. Tucker's too hardcore for ECW. More evidence that Tucker is tougher than Rey Mysterio comes in the form of ECW. Rey Mysterio wrestled for ECW in 2006 and he had to quit mid-match because he cut himself on the table. Tucker, on the other hand, never fought in ECW because he was too tough for ECW. Rey Mysterio didn't want Tucker to come in and wipe out their entire roster within a month, so he just never used him. He was also 10 when they went out of business. Fans will cheer him on. Not only does Tucker have the full backing of the locker room, he also has the full backing of the fans. Everywhere that Tucker wrestles is basically hometown advantage for Tucker, with the pops that he gets. Rey Mysterio, on the other hand, isn't really that popular, so when the fans are cheering Tucker on, it'll probably push Tucker even further to his limits to get the win. Tucker takes care of himself. Not only is Rey Mysterio old, but he also got injured loads of times. Once in 2006, Chavo Guerrero mangled his knee in an I Quit match, which put Rey Mysterio on the shelf for several months. I thought he had to retire because I thought that was a stipulation of an I Quit match at the time, and I cried for several hours. Anyway, Tucker has never been injured because he's too busy beating his opponents up to let them hurt him, so I don't see why that would be any different here. Tucker is used to main event spotlight. Pressure is a very real thing in wrestling, with many wrestlers who are usually excellent underneath the main event choking on the biggest stage. In Rey Mysterio's case, he usually teams with Dominic Mysterio, so he's basically never in the main event. So he'll probably get nervous if the match goes on last, whereas Tucker has been on main event before, so he won't get nervous and he'll probably win as a result. Tucker is a two-time 24/7 champion. The 24/7 title is the most prestigious title in WWE. This is because in order to win the title, you need to be ready to fight anywhere at any time. Tucker's a two-time 24/7 champion because he's ready to fight no matter what, whereas Rey Mysterio needs a full 3-month training camp before every fight, so he's never won the title. If this fight takes place on short notice, that's evidence that Tucker easily wins. Tucker beat Dan Matha. Tucker always showcases a really impressive feat of strength that most wrestlers, including Rey Mysterio, can't do themselves. The best example of this is when he beat Dan Matha twice. Dan Matha is very strong, so that means Tucker is even stronger again. And Rey Mysterio never beat Dan Matha, so yeah.